Naomi Carter thought her biggest challenge at Jefferson High would be fitting in as the new black girl in a predominantly white school, but Ashley Whitman had other plans. The Queen Bee and her crew turned Naomi's life into a daily nightmare of racist graffiti, public humiliation, and escalating violence that the principal mysteriously always failed to see. What Ashley didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Naomi's mother wasn't just an overprotective parent who worked in corporate security. Special Agent Alicia Carter was closing in on a criminal syndicate, and the biggest surprise was yet to come. The FBI's most wanted were hiding in plain sight at Jefferson High, and their own children were the ones terrorizing her daughter. Just before we get back to it, I'd love to know where you're watching from today, and if you're enjoying these stories, make sure you're subscribed. The morning light filtered through Naomi Carter's bedroom window, catching the bottles and jars scattered across her dresser. She sat there, staring at her reflection, her hands hovering between the hot comb and the leave-in conditioner. 14 years old, and already carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken questions on her shoulders. Natural or straight? She whispered to herself, fingers running through her thick, beautiful curls. It wasn't just about hair. It never was. It was about fitting in at a new school where she'd be starting in exactly 43 minutes. It was about whether she wanted to stand out or blend in, whether she wanted to be seen as too black or trying too hard. "Naomi, breakfast," her mother's voice called from downstairs. "Coming, Mom." She grabbed the conditioner, working it through her curls with practiced ease. Natural it was, at least for today. She pulled on her favorite jeans and a simple blue sweater her grandmother had sent for her birthday. Nothing fancy, nothing that screamed for attention. Just Naomi. Downstairs, her mother, Alicia Carter, stood by the kitchen counter, dressed in a sharp business suit that somehow looked both professional and slightly intimidating. She was scrolling through her phone with an intensity that made Naomi pause. "Everything okay, Mom?" Alicia's head snapped up, her expression instantly softening. "Of course, baby. Just work stuff. Corporate security never sleeps, you know?" She slipped the phone into her pocket with a movement so smooth it seemed rehearsed. "You ready for your first day?" Naomi shrugged, grabbing a piece of toast. "Ready as I'll ever be, I guess. You're gonna do great. Jefferson High is lucky to have you." "Mom, it's just high school." "Nothing is just anything when it comes to you." Alicia moved around the counter, adjusting Naomi's collar with gentle fingers. But Naomi noticed how her mother's eyes swept the room, checking the windows, the door, always scanning, always watching. The drive to school was quiet except for the soft jazz playing on the radio. Naomi watched the suburban landscape roll by, each house looking like a carbon copy of the last. They'd moved here 3 months ago, another transfer for her mother's job. The fourth move in 6 years. "Remember," Alicia said as they pulled up to the school, "if you need anything, call you." "I know, Mom. And if anyone gives you trouble, I'll handle it." Naomi grabbed her backpack, eager to escape before her mother could launch into another protective speech. "Naomi." The tone made her pause. Alicia's eyes were serious, almost fierce. "You're stronger than you know." Weird thing to say, but Naomi nodded and climbed out. She didn't see how her mother's hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as she watched her daughter walk toward the school entrance. Jefferson High was exactly what Naomi expected. Red brick, American flag out front, clusters of students grouped by some invisible social hierarchy she'd have to decode. She kept her head up, shoulders back, just like her mother taught her. The whispers started before she even made it through the main doors. "Is she new? Look at her hair. Those shoes are so last year. She's pretty, though. Pretty for a—" Naomi forced herself not to react, not to turn around. She found her locker, fumbled with the combination the secretary had given her, trying to ignore the weight of eyes on her back. Well, what do we have here?" The voice was sweet like artificial honey. Naomi turned to find 3 girls standing in a perfect formation, like they practiced it. The blonde in the middle wore designer everything, from her perfectly straightened hair to her spotless white sneakers that probably cost more than Naomi's entire outfit. "I'm Ashley," the blonde said, not extending a hand. "This is Madison." She gestured to a brunette who looked like she was trying to disappear into Ashley's shadow. And Trevor. She nodded toward a tall boy in a Letterman jacket who'd just joined them. Naomi, she replied simply. Ashley's eyes did a slow sweep from Naomi's curls to her worn Converse. Interesting style choice. Very authentic. Where'd you shop? The Salvation Army. Trevor snorted. Madison giggled nervously. Actually, these were a gift from my grandmother, Naomi said, keeping her voice steady. How sweet. Ashley's smile could have frozen water. Your grandmother must shop at some very unique places. The bell rang, saving Naomi from having to respond. Ashley and her crew swept away, but not before Trevor bumped Naomi's shoulder, hard enough to make her stumble. Watch where you're standing, he said, though she hadn't moved an inch. First period was English, and Naomi was grateful to sink into a desk near the back. She pulled out her notebook, the one with the worn cover where she wrote everything she couldn't say out loud. Hey, she looked up to find a boy with messy brown hair and glasses that were slightly too big for his face. He had the kind of nervous energy that made him fidget constantly. I'm Ethan, he said, sliding into the desk next to her. You're new, right? First day. Yeah, I could tell. You had that deer-in-the-headlights look. Plus, Ashley already marked you. Marked me. She does that with new kids, especially ones who... He trailed off, adjusting his glasses. Ones who what? Stand out, he finished carefully. Look, just keep your head down. Ashley Whitman basically runs this place. Her dad owns half the businesses in town, and she makes sure everyone knows it. Thanks for the warning. No problem. Us outcasts gotta stick together, right? The morning crawled by. In every class, Naomi felt eyes on her. Some curious, some hostile, most just indifferent. By lunch, she was exhausted from being so visible while trying to be invisible. The cafeteria was a minefield of social territories. Naomi grabbed a tray, loaded it with whatever looked least questionable, and searched for an empty table. She found one in the corner, partially hidden by a pillar. She'd barely sat down when the laughter started. Sharp, pointed laughter that was meant to be heard. Ashley's table was across the cafeteria, but their voices carried. Can you believe she's eating alone already? So sad. Maybe she's used to it. Her hair is so big. Everything about them is. Naomi's hand tightened on her fork. She forced herself to take a bite, to chew, to swallow. The food tasted like cardboard. Mind if I sit? Ethan stood there with his own tray, looking hopeful and nervous. Free country, Naomi said. He sat down, immediately launching into a stream of consciousness about their shared English teacher, the terrible cafeteria food, the upcoming science fair. Naomi found herself relaxing slightly. He wasn't trying to dig for information or make her feel worse. He was just talking. So what's your story? He finally asked. Why Jefferson High? My mom's job. We move a lot. What'd she do? Corporate security. The lie came easily. She'd said it so many times it almost felt true. Cool. My mom's an accountant. Equally thrilling. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment before Ethan spoke again, quieter this time. Ashley and her crew, they're not good people. I mean, I'm sure you figured that out, but it's worse than just mean girl stuff. There are rumors about her family, about where their money really comes from. What kind of rumors? The kind that... He stopped abruptly as a shadow fell over their table. Making friends with the new girl, Ethan? Ashley stood there, Madison and Trevor flanking her. How charitable of you. We're just eating lunch, Ashley, Ethan said, but his voice shook slightly. Of course you are. Her eyes fixed on Naomi. You know, we have a tradition here at Jefferson. New students usually try to make a good impression. You know, show some respect to the people who've been here longer. Respect is earned, Naomi said quietly. The cafeteria seemed to go silent around them. Ashley's perfect smile faltered for just a second. What did you say? I said respect is earned, not demanded. Trevor stepped forward. You need to learn how things work around here. Or what? The words were out before Naomi could stop them. Ashley laughed, but there was no humor in it. Oh, honey, you really don't want to find out. They walked away, but Naomi could feel the shift in the air. She'd drawn a line without meaning to. That was brave, Ethan said. Also possibly suicidal. I'm not going to let them walk all over me. I get it. I really do. But Ashley's not just mean. She's calculating. She'll make your life hell. The afternoon brought gym class, Naomi's least favorite subject even under the best circumstances. She changed into her gym clothes, trying to ignore the whispers and stares from the other girls in the locker room. They were playing volleyball. Naomi positioned herself in the back row, hoping to stay out of the action. But when the rotation brought her to the front, directly across from Ashley, she knew something was about to happen. The serve came fast, and Naomi managed to bump it to the setter. The play continued, the ball flying back and forth. Then Ashley spiked it, hard, directly at Naomi's face. She barely got her hands up in time. "Nice reflexes," Ashley said sweetly. The next play, as Naomi moved to rotate, Ashley's foot shot out. Naomi didn't see it coming. She went down hard, her knee hitting the gym floor with a crack that echoed through the space. Laughter erupted. Not everyone, but enough. Enough to make Naomi's cheeks burn as she pushed herself up. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Ashley's voice dripped with false concern. "I didn't see you there. You really should watch where you're going." The gym teacher, Mr. Peterson, barely glanced over. "Carter, you good?" Naomi nodded, her knee throbbing. She limped through the rest of class, Ashley's smirk following her every move. That evening, Naomi sat in her room, her journal open on her lap. The words poured out. Day 1 at Jefferson High. Made 3 enemies and maybe 1 friend. Mom always says I'm strong, but I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm drowning and everyone's just watching. Ashley Whitman thinks she owns this place. Maybe she does, but I can't just roll over. I won't, even if it makes things worse. Even if. A soft knock interrupted her writing. "Come in." Alicia entered, still in her suit, but with her jacket off, her service weapon no longer hidden beneath the fabric. She placed it in the safe already, Naomi knew, the one behind the false panel in the master bedroom closet. "How was your first day?" "Fine, Naomi lit." Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, studying her with those eyes that seemed to see everything. "Naomi, it was okay. Just typical new kid stuff. Did you make any friends?" "Maybe 1. A boy named Ethan." "Good. That's good." Alicia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression tightening almost imperceptibly. "I have to make a call. Work stuff. At 8 p.m. Corporate security never sleeps, remember?" She kissed Naomi's forehead and left, closing the door behind her. Naomi could hear her mother's muffled voice from down the hall, speaking in that careful, measured tone she used for work calls. Words like surveillance and intel and maintaining cover drifted through the walls. She returned to her journal. Mom's lying about something. She has been for years. All the moves, the late-night calls, the way she checks every room like she's expecting trouble. She says she works in corporate security, but what corporate security job requires you to know 17 different ways to disarm someone? Yeah, I've seen her practice moves when she thinks I'm asleep. Whatever she's really doing, she thinks she's protecting me by keeping me in the dark. But secrets have a way of coming out. And when they do, later that night, Naomi crept to the kitchen for a glass of water. She found her mother standing by the window, staring out into the darkness. The moonlight caught her face, and for a moment, Alicia looked older, wearier. "Mom!" Alicia turned, forcing a smile. "Couldn't sleep, just thirsty." Naomi filled her glass, watching her mother. "You look worried." "Just thinking about work. Big project coming up. The kind of project that requires you to triple-check the locks and install that expensive security system." Alicia's smile became more genuine. "You notice everything, don't you?" Just like what?" "Just like your grandmother. She never missed anything either." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, mother and daughter, each carrying secrets they couldn't share. "Mom." "Yeah, baby. If something was really wrong, you'd tell me, right?" Alicia crossed the kitchen, pulling Naomi into a fierce hug. "Everything's going to be fine. I promise you that." As Naomi headed back to bed, she didn't see her mother pull out a second phone, encrypted and secure. She didn't hear the quiet conversation about a developing situation and maintaining operational security. She didn't know that Special Agent Alicia Carter had just received intelligence that would soon bring her 2 worlds crashing together. The next morning arrived too quickly. Naomi stood in front of her locker, fumbling with the combination when she froze. Across the metal door, in thick black marker, someone had written, "Go back where you came from." Her hands shook as she touched the words. The marker was still fresh enough to smudge slightly under her fingers. Students walked by, some slowing to stare, others deliberately looking away. "Oh my God." Ethan appeared beside her, his face pale. "Naomi, we need to report this." "To who?" she asked, her voice steady despite the burning in her chest. "The principal, the counselor, someone, right?" Naomi pulled out her phone, took a picture, then grabbed tissues from her bag and tried to wipe it off. The marker had already set. "Let's go." Principal Howard's office smelled like coffee and disappointment. He was a heavy-set man with thinning hair and the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. He glanced at Naomi's phone, at the picture of the vandalized locker, and sighed like she'd personally inconvenienced him. "Miss Carter, these things happen. Kids can be cruel. These things—" Naomi kept her voice level. "Racist graffiti just happens. Now, let's not jump to conclusions about intent. It can mean anything. Maybe they meant go back to your old school. You are new here." Ethan made a sound of disbelief. Principal Howard ignored him. "I understand you're upset, but we can't prove who did this. I'll have maintenance clean it off, and we'll send out a general reminder about respect. But honestly, Miss Carter, the best thing you can do is not let it get to you. Don't give them the reaction they want. So you're not going to do anything. I'm going to handle it appropriately. Now, both of you should get a class." Outside the office, Ethan was fuming. That was complete crap. He knows exactly what that meant. Of course he does. Naomi shouldered her backpack. He just doesn't care. Meanwhile, across town in a nondescript office building, Special Agent Alicia Carter sat in a briefing room, staring at surveillance photos spread across the table. Her partner, Agent James Thompson, pointed to one particular image. "Richard Whitman owns several legitimate businesses, but we know he's laundering money for the Torino syndicate. The problem is proving it." Alicia studied the photo. The man looked like any other successful businessman. "What about his connection to schools?" "That's where it gets interesting. We intercepted communications suggesting they're recruiting kids, using them as runners because minors get lighter sentences if caught." "Which schools?" Thompson pulled up a list on his laptop. "Several in the area, but Jefferson High keeps coming up." Alicia's blood ran cold. "Jefferson High? Yeah, why?" "You know it. It's in my neighborhood." She kept her voice neutral, professional. Inside, her mind was racing. Naomi, her baby was in that school. "We need someone inside," Thompson continued. "Someone who can get close to the operation without raising suspicion." "I'll do it." "Alicia, you're already running point on the financial side." "I said I'll do it." Her tone left no room for argument. Back at school, Naomi tried to focus on her classes, but the weight of eyes on her was heavier today. In the hallway between periods, she felt a hard shove from behind. She stumbled forward, books scattering. "Oops." Ashley's voice was silk over steel. "You really should watch where you're going." Madison stood beside her, looking uncomfortable but saying nothing. Other students walked by, some pausing to watch but none stepping forward to help. Naomi bent to gather her books. Ethan appeared, dropping to help her. "Back off, Ashley," he said. "Or what, Ethan? You'll bore me to death with your comic book collection?" Trevor laughed from behind Ashley. "Good one, babe." "I'm not your babe," Ashley said coolly, but she smiled at the validation. Naomi stood, books clutched her chest. "Is this really how you want to spend your time? Making other people miserable?" Ashley stepped closer, lowering her voice so only Naomi could hear. "You have no idea what I can do to you. That locker graffiti? That was just a warm-up. You admitted it. Prove it." Ashley's smile was sharp as glass. "My word against yours. Whose do you think Principal Howard will believe?" That evening, dinner at the Carter house was tense. Naomi pushed food around her plate, while Alicia checked her phone every few minutes. "Can you put that away?" Naomi finally snapped. "For like 5 minutes?" Alicia set the phone down, studying her daughter. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Naomi, someone wrote something on my locker today. Something racist." Alicia went very still. "What did they write?" "Does it matter?" "Principal Howard basically said I should just ignore it." "You what?" The dangerous edge in her mother's voice made Naomi look up. He said kids are cruel and I shouldn't give them a reaction. Alicia stood abruptly, pacing to the window. She stood there, hands clenched, visibly controlling herself. When she turned back, her expression was calm, but her eyes burned. Did you see who did it? No, but I know it was Ashley Whitman or her friends. The name hit Alicia like a physical blow. Whitman. Richard Whitman's daughter. The pieces were falling into place in the worst possible way. Stay away from her, Naomi. Kind of hard to do that when she's making my life hell. I mean it. That family is. Alicia caught herself. Just trust me. Stay away from her. You know something? Naomi stood too, facing her mother. What aren't you telling me? I'm telling you to be careful. I'm telling you that some people are more dangerous than they appear. How would you know? You never hear. You don't see what I deal with every day. I'm trying to protect you. From what? From mean girls? I can handle myself, Mom. What I can't handle is you being absent all the time and then swooping in with mysterious warnings like you know better when you don't even know what's happening in my life. The words hung between them like a physical barrier. Alicia looked stricken. You're right, she said quietly. I haven't been here enough. But Naomi, please, just trust me on this. Stay away from the Whitmans. Whatever. Naomi stormed upstairs, slamming her door. Alicia pulled out her encrypted phone, sending a quick message. Need background check on all students connected to RW Priority 1. The next day in English class, Ms. Rodriguez assigned an essay on injustice. Write about something that matters to you, she said. Something real. Naomi's pen flew across the page. She wrote about the small injustices that built into mountains, the whispers that became roars, the way silence from bystanders hurt almost as much as the actions of the bullies. She wrote about her locker, about the principal's dismissal, about feeling invisible and too visible at the same time. When she read it aloud at Ms. Rodriguez's request, the room was silent. Even Ashley, sitting in the back, had stopped whispering to Madison. That was powerful, Naomi, Ms. Rodriguez said. You have a real gift for making people feel what you feel. After class, Ethan caught up with her. That was amazing. You said what everyone thinks, but no one says. A lot of good it does. Maybe it does more than you think. Madison looked really uncomfortable during your reading. Madison always looks uncomfortable. No, this was different. Like guilty, uncomfortable. At lunch, Naomi had just sat down when Trevor appeared at her table. He grabbed her backpack before she could react, unzipping it and pulling out her journal. What do we have here? He opened it, his voice carrying across the cafeteria. Dear Diary, today was horrible. Give it back. Naomi lunged for it, but Trevor held it high, out of reach. I wish I could stand up for myself, but I'm too scared, he read in a mocking voice. Ashley makes me want to disappear. The cafeteria was watching now. Some students had their phones out, recording. Naomi felt her face burning, tears threatening. That's enough. Ethan stood, voice shaking but determined. Trevor laughed. What are you going to do about it, nerd? This. Ethan grabbed the journal and shoved Trevor hard. Trevor, not expecting resistance from quiet Ethan, stumbled backward. For a moment, the cafeteria held its breath. Then Trevor's face darkened. He stepped forward, fist cocked, but a teacher appeared. What's going on here? Nothing, Mr. Peterson, Trevor said smoothly, stepping back. Just joking around. He walked away, but not before leaning close to Naomi. This isn't over. Naomi grabbed her journal and ran, Ethan calling after her. She locked herself in a bathroom stall, tears finally falling. She felt violated, exposed. Her private thoughts turned into public entertainment. That night, Alicia came home late again. She found Naomi in her room, eyes red from crying. What happened? Nothing. Naomi, please. They read my journal, in front of everyone. They took my private thoughts, and... She broke off, fresh tears falling. Alicia sat on the bed, pulling Naomi into her arms. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Why are people so cruel? Alicia held her tighter, her own eyes burning. If only she could tell her daughter the truth, that she was working to take down the very people who were hurting her. That justice was coming. But maintaining her cover was essential to the operation and to Naomi's safety. Instead, she said, people who hurt others are usually broken themselves. That doesn't excuse it, but sometimes understanding helps. Later, after Naomi had fallen asleep, Alicia met with Thompson in a secure location. The Whitman kid is escalating, he said, showing her surveillance footage from the school. She's getting bolder. She's her father's daughter, Alicia said bitterly. We've also picked up chatter about a big score coming up. Something involving the school. When? Soon. We need to be ready. Alicia nodded, her mind already running through scenarios. I want extra surveillance on the school, especially during events. You're getting too close to this, Alicia. Maybe we should pull you. No, the word came out harder than intended. I'm Phoenix. I can handle it. Thompson studied her. This is about more than the case, isn't it? Alicia met his gaze steadily. It's about protecting kids from predators. That's what we do. He nodded slowly. Just remember, we need evidence that will stick. No shortcuts. The week progressed with small cruelties. Gum in Naomi's hair. Her gym clothes thrown in the shower. Assignment papers stolen from her desk. Each incident carefully orchestrated to avoid teacher supervision. Ethan documented everything, taking photos, keeping notes. We're building a case, he told Naomi. Eventually, someone will have to listen. You really think so? I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? Friday afternoon. As Naomi walked to her locker, she found a small crowd gathered. Her heart sank. What now? Her locker was open, the lock cut. Inside, someone had stuffed it with garbage. Food waste, used tissues, things she didn't want to identify. The smell was overwhelming. Ashley stood nearby, admiring her manicure. Someone really doesn't like you, she said conversationally. That was it. Naomi spun to face her. What is wrong with you? What did I ever do to deserve this? You existed, Ashley said simply. You came here thinking you belonged. You don't. Because I'm black? The word hung in the air. Several students stepped back. Even Madison looked shocked. Ashley's smile never wavered. I didn't say that. You did. But if the shoe fits. You're pathetic, Naomi said, surprising herself with the steadiness of her voice. You're a small, pathetic person who needs to hurt others to feel important. I feel sorry for you. Ashley's face went red. You'll regret that. I already regret wasting my time talking to you. Naomi walked away, head high, even as garbage juice dripped from her belongings. Behind her, she heard Ashley hiss to Trevor, "Make her pay." That evening, as Alicia worked late into the night, her phone rang. It was the school. Mrs. Carter? This is the janitor at Jefferson High. I thought you should know. Your daughter's locker. Someone did something awful. Alicia gripped the phone. I'll be right there. She stood in front of the destroyed locker, rage building in her chest. The janitor, an older black man named Walter, shook his head. I've seen a lot in my 30 years here, but this is getting worse. That Whitman girl, she's poison. You know it was her? Walter gave her a look. Everyone knows. But knowing and proving are different things. Her daddy owns half the school board. Alicia took photos, her FBI training kicking in. Document everything. Build the case. My daughter doesn't deserve this, she said quietly. No child does. But your girl, she's strong. Stronger than she knows. I've seen her stand up to them. Not many do that. Driving home, Alicia made a decision. The operation was important, but her daughter came first. She would find a way to protect Naomi without compromising the case. She had to. At home, she found Naomi in her room, typing on her laptop. What are you working on? A blog post. About bullying. About how the system protects the bullies instead of the victims. Alicia read over her shoulder. It was powerful, honest, raw. You're going to publish this? Anonymously. But yes, someone needs to say it. It could make things worse. Naomi looked up at her mother. Or it could help someone else going through the same thing feel less alone. Alicia kissed the top of her daughter's head. You amaze me. You know that? Mom. Yeah. Whatever you're really doing at work, the thing you can't tell me about. Is it important? Alicia was quiet for a long moment. Yes, it's important. Is it dangerous? Sometimes. Are you helping people? I'm trying to. Naomi nodded. Okay. Just be careful, okay? You too, baby. You too. As Naomi turned back to her laptop, neither of them knew that Ashley's father was at that very moment meeting with his associates, planning something that would soon entangle both their worlds in ways they couldn't imagine. The storm was building, and the Carter women were directly in its path. The chemistry lab still smelled faintly of smoke 3 days later. Naomi sat in Principal Howard's office, her hands clenched in her lap, while Ashley sat across from her with tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. She deliberately caused an explosion. Ashley sobbed. I could have been seriously hurt. That's not what happened, Naomi said, struggling to keep her voice level. My experiment was set up correctly. Someone tampered with it while I was getting materials from the supply closet. Principal Howard rubbed his temples. Miss Carter, 3 students saw you mixing chemicals carelessly. 3 students who are all Ashley's friends. Are you suggesting a conspiracy? His tone made it clear what he thought of that idea. I am stating facts. My lab notebook shows the correct measurements. Someone added concentrated sulfuric acid to my solution while I was gone. That's what caused the reaction. Where's your proof? The security cameras were unfortunately angled away from your station. Principal Howard's voice was final. Miss Carter, you're lucky no one was injured. You'll receive a 0 on this project and serve a week of detention. Any further incidents, and we'll have to consider suspension. Ashley made a small, satisfied sound disguised as a sniffle. Outside the office, Naomi's hands shook with rage. Ethan was waiting for her, his face grim. This is insane, he said. Everyone knows she did it. Marcus told me he saw Madison near your station right before it happened. Doesn't matter what everyone knows. Naomi slumped against the lockers. Ashley's untouchable. Maybe not as untouchable as she thinks. Ethan glanced around, then pulled Naomi into an empty classroom. Remember I told you I was bullied too? Yeah. It wasn't just name-calling. Last year, Trevor and his friends locked me in the equipment shed during a thunderstorm. I have claustrophobia. I had a panic attack so bad I passed out. When the janitor found me, I was barely breathing. Naomi's stomach turned. Ethan, that's horrible. The thing is, I recorded it. The whole thing. I had my phone in my pocket, and it captured their voices, them laughing while I begged to be let out. He pulled out his phone, showing her a file. I never did anything with it because I was scared. But now we have evidence of a pattern, Naomi said slowly. Exactly. And I've been thinking, if we can get more people to come forward to share their stories, maybe we can finally do something. That afternoon, they sat in Ethan's basement, laptops open. Naomi had created an anonymous submission form, and Ethan was spreading it through encrypted messages to kids they knew had been targeted. We have to be careful, Naomi said. If Ashley finds out, she won't. I'm using a VPN and anonymous accounts. My older brother taught me. He's in cybersecurity. Within hours, stories started pouring in. A freshman whose inhaler was hidden during an asthma attack. A girl whose hijab was pulled off in the hallway. A boy whose lunch money was stolen every day for a month. All connected to Ashley, Trevor, or Madison. This is bigger than just us, Naomi whispered, scrolling through the submissions. Look at this one. Ethan pointed to the screen. Someone saw Trevor meeting with older guys behind the gym. Says they were exchanging packages. Naomi felt a chill. Her mother's warnings about the Whitman family echoed in her mind. That evening, Naomi found her mother in the home office, multiple computer screens displaying what looked like surveillance footage. Mom, Alicia quickly minimized the windows. Hey, baby, how was school? I got detention for something I didn't do. Alicia spun her chair around. What happened? Naomi explained about the sabotaged experiment. As she talked, she watched her mother's face grow darker. I'm going to the school tomorrow, Alicia said. Don't. It'll just make things worse. Naomi, Mom, what's on those screens? Work stuff. It looked like surveillance footage. Of my school. Alicia was quiet for a long moment. I can't talk about it, but it is my school. Naomi, please. Just trust me. How can I trust you when you won't trust me? Naomi's voice cracked. Something's happening, isn't it? Something with Ashley's family. Alicia stood, pulling Naomi into a hug. I need you to be very careful. Stay away from the Whitmans. Don't go anywhere alone. And if you see anything suspicious, anything at all, you tell me immediately. You're scaring me. Good. A little fear keeps you safe. That night, Naomi heard her mother on the phone again. This time, she pressed her ear to the door. The timelines moved up, Alicia was saying. My CI says something's going down at the school soon. No, I can't pull her out without blowing cover. Yes, I understand the risks. Naomi backed away from the door, heart pounding. Chi confidential informant. Cover. Those weren't corporate security terms. Those are law enforcement terms. The next morning, Naomi arrived at school to find a note in her locker, one that hadn't been there the afternoon before, even though her new lock hadn't been tampered with. Stop digging or someone gets hurt. A friend. She showed it to Ethan, whose face went pale. Maybe we should stop, he said. No, this means we're close to something. Naomi folded the note carefully. They're scared. During lunch, something unexpected happened. Madison approached their table alone, looking nervous. Can I sit? She asked quietly. Naomi and Ethan exchanged glances. Why? Because I need to tell you something. Madison sat without waiting for permission, glancing around nervously. I didn't put that acid in your experiment, but I know who did. Ashley, Trevor. Ashley told him to do it. She has something on him. I don't know what, but he does whatever she says now. Why are you telling us this? Ethan asked suspiciously. Madison looked down at her hands. Because it's getting worse. The things she wants us to do. And last night, I heard her dad on the phone. He was talking about using kids to move packages during the homecoming game. I think Trevor's already involved. Naomi's blood ran cold. What kind of packages? I don't know. But Ashley's dad was saying something about how minors get lighter sentences. It scared me. You need to tell someone, Naomi said. Tell who? Ashley's dad owns half the police department. Principal Howard is his golf buddy. Who's going to believe me over them? Before anyone could answer, Ashley appeared with Trevor. Madison. Ashley's voice was ice. What are you doing? Just talking. We need you. Now. Madison stood reluctantly, giving Naomi a meaningful look before following Ashley away. Trevor lingered for a moment. You should have taken the warning seriously, he said quietly. There was something in his eyes, fear. After school, Naomi was walking to her bike when she heard shouting from the gym. She crept closer, peering through the door window. Trevor was backed against the wall by two older men she didn't recognize. You lost the product? One of them was saying. I didn't lose it. Mr. Whitman isn't going to be happy about this. Please, I can fix it. I just need time. A hand grabbed Naomi's shoulder. She nearly screamed before recognizing Ethan. We need to go, he whispered. Now. They ran to their bikes, pedaling hard. Behind them, they heard a door slam and voices shouting. Did you see that? Naomi panted as they stopped several blocks away. Trevor's in deep trouble. Those guys look dangerous. We have to tell someone. Tell them what? That we were spying? That'll go over well. Naomi pulled out her phone, typing quickly. I'm sending my mom a message. Something's not right. Alicia read the text from her daughter while sitting in an FBI surveillance van. Saw Trevor with two men at school. They were angry about lost product. I'm scared. We need to move, she told Thompson. They're getting sloppy. Using kids at the school. We don't have enough evidence yet. Then we get it. Fast. Before someone gets hurt. Thompson studied her. Alicia, what aren't you telling me? She was saved from answering by an alert on their surveillance system. Movement at the Whitman compound. Multiple vehicles. They're mobilizing, Thompson said. Something's happening. Back at home, Naomi was surprised to find her mother already there, cooking dinner. You're home early, she said. Got your text. Thought we should talk. They sat at the kitchen table, and Alicia chose her words carefully. The men you saw, can you describe them? Naomi did, in detail. She'd always been observant, a trait inherited from her mother. And you said Trevor seemed scared? Terrified. Mom, I think he's caught up in something bad. Maybe that's why he does whatever Ashley says. Alicia nodded slowly. Naomi, I need you to promise me something. Stay away from this. Don't investigate. Don't follow anyone. Don't try to help. Just stay away. But if Trevor's in trouble, there are people who can help him. But it's not safe for you to be involved. What people? Mom, what do you know? Before Alicia could answer, her work phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and her face went white. I have to take this. She stepped outside, leaving Naomi frustrated and worried. The call was from her supervisor. We've intercepted communications. They're planning something for tomorrow night. The school's hosting that science fair, right? Yes, Alicia said, her heart sinking. Perfect cover. Lots of people, lots of confusion. We need to be ready. My daughter will be there. She has a project. Then you'll need to make sure she stays safe without compromising the operation. Alicia wanted to scream. How was she supposed to protect Naomi while maintaining her cover? The next evening, the school was packed for the science fair. Parents, students, and teachers filled the gymnasium, admiring projects and chatting. Naomi stood by her rebuilt experiment, a study on chemical reactions that was pointedly different from her sabotaged one. Ethan was beside her, his own project on cybersecurity, drawing interested looks from tech-savvy parents. Your mom coming? He asked. She said she'd try. Naomi scanned the crowd, not seeing Alicia anywhere. What she did see was Ashley, dressed impeccably, standing by an obviously store-bought project on marine biology. Her father stood beside her, a tall man with cold eyes who kept checking his phone. Trevor was there too, but he looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, hands shaking slightly. He kept glancing at the exit doors. He looks like he's going to bolt, Ethan observed. Or throw up. Madison appeared at their table, pretending to look at their projects. Something's happening tonight, she whispered. Ashley told me to stay in the gym no matter what. Said things might get interesting in the parking lot. Naomi and Ethan exchanged glances. We should tell someone, Naomi said. I tried to tell my mom, Madison said. She didn't believe me. Said I was being dramatic. Across the gym, Alicia entered, dressed casually but with her FBI badge hidden under her jacket. She had agents positioned throughout the school, all in plain clothes. Thompson was in the surveillance van outside. She made her way to Naomi's table, smiling. Hey, baby. Great project. Thanks for coming, Naomi said, hugging her. Alicia's trained eyes swept the room, cataloging exits, counting Whitman's associates, noting the unusual number of older teens who seemed to have no connection to the science fair. Mom, something's wrong, Naomi whispered. Madison said. I know. Alicia's voice was barely audible. Just stay in the gym. No matter what happens, stay here. Mom, what? Promise me. I promise. Alicia squeezed her daughter's shoulder, then moved away, ostensibly looking at other projects, but actually coordinating with her team through a nearly invisible earpiece. At exactly 8 p.m., things started happening fast. Trevor suddenly walked out of the gym, his movements stiff and unnatural. Ashley watched him go, a small smile on her face. Targets moving, Alicia heard through her earpiece. Heading to the parking lot. Richard Whitman also stepped outside, followed by several men Naomi recognized from the incident at the gym. Multiple suspects converging on the loading dock, came Thompson's voice. Alicia started to follow, but Naomi grabbed her arm. Mom, don't go out there. I'll be right back. Stay here. She left, and Naomi watched her go with a sinking feeling. Ethan was filming everything on his phone, trying to look casual. Your mom's not in corporate security, is she? He said quietly. I don't think so. Madison suddenly appeared, grabbing both of them. Ashley's about to do something. She's been texting someone named Principal Howard. She's setting someone up? I think it's Trevor. What do you mean? She planted something in his locker. She's going to call it in during the handoff. Make it look like he's the only one involved. Naomi's mind raced. Trevor was a bully, but he didn't deserve to take the fall for the entire operation. We have to warn him, she said. You promised your mom you'd stay here, Ethan reminded her. I promised I'd stay in the gym. I didn't say anything about the locker area. They slipped out of the gym through the side door that led to the main school building. The hallways were dark, lit only by emergency lights. They found Trevor at his locker, pulling out a backpack that clearly wasn't his. Trevor, stop, Naomi called out. He spun around, panic in his eyes. Get out of here. It's a setup. Ashley planted that bag. She's going to call the cops on you. I know. His voice was broken. But if I don't deliver this, they'll hurt my family. My cousin owes them money. And they said, there's another way. Madison said, stepping out of the shadows. We tell the truth. All of it. You don't understand. These people. The sound of sirens cut through the air. But they weren't regular police sirens. FBI. Nobody move. The voice echoed through the hallways. Trevor dropped the bag, falling to his knees. Alicia appeared, her FBI badge now visible, weapon drawn but pointed to the ground. Trevor, hand where I can see them. Mom. Naomi's voice was shocked. Naomi, I told you to stay in the gym. He's just a kid caught up in this, Naomi said. Ashley set him up. I know. Alicia's voice was gentler now. She looked at Trevor. If you cooperate, we can help you. But you need to tell us everything. Trevor was crying now. I didn't want to do it. They threatened my mom, my little sister. So if I didn't help move their packages, they'd hurt them. More agents appeared, including Thompson. We've got Whitman and 6 others in custody. The principal tried to run. We caught him in the parking lot with a bag full of cash. Ashley's scream of rage echoed from somewhere outside. You don't know who you're messing with. My father will destroy all of you. Alicia looked at her daughter, seeing the mix of shock, betrayal, and understanding on her face. You're FBI, Naomi said. It wasn't a question. Yes. This whole time, my whole career. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. That's why we moved so much. Why you were always watching everything. To keep you safe. Ethan, who had been recording everything, slowly lowered his phone. This is insane. Madison stepped forward. I want to help. I have texts, recordings. Ashley made me do things, but I kept evidence. I was scared, but I kept it all. Thompson nodded. We'll need statements from all of you. As they were led to a secure room to give statements, Naomi saw Ashley being brought in. Her perfect composure finally cracked. She locked eyes with Naomi, hatred burning in them. This isn't over, Ashley snarled. Yes, it is, Alicia said firmly, stepping between them. You're done hurting people. The science fair was evacuated, parents and students ushered out as FBI agents processed the scene. News vans were already arriving, the story of a federal bust at a local high school spreading fast. In the secure room, Naomi sat next to her mother as she gave her statement. She talked about the bullying, the escalation, the threats. Ethan provided his recordings. Madison, with her mother now beside her, shocked but supportive, handed over months of evidence she'd been collecting, insurance against Ashley's increasingly dangerous demands. Trevor, in another room with his terrified but relieved mother, was telling agents everything about how he'd been recruited, threatened, and trapped. Will Trevor go to jail? Naomi asked Thompson. He's a minor who was coerced. If he cooperates fully, which he is, he'll likely get probation and counseling. The adults are the ones who will face serious time. What about Ashley? That's complicated. She's a minor too, but there's evidence she was a willing participant, not coerced. She'll face juvenile charges. Principal Howard was brought in, handcuffed, his face red with rage and humiliation. He saw Naomi and looked away, shame finally breaking through his arrogance. He was taking bribes, Thompson explained, allowing the syndicate to use the school, looking the other way when they recruited students. As the night wore on, the full scope of the operation became clear. The Whitman syndicate had been using multiple schools to recruit runners, targeting vulnerable kids with threats or promises of easy money. The science fair was supposed to be a major exchange, using the chaos of the event as cover. How long have you known? Naomi asked her mother during a quiet moment. About the syndicate? Months. About their connection to your school? Only recently. I tried to keep you away from it all, but I walked right into it. That wasn't your fault. Ashley targeted you because you were new, because you were... Alicia paused, choosing her words. Because you were strong enough to stand up to her. She saw you as a threat from day one. I don't feel strong, but you are. You protected Trevor tonight, even after everything he did to you. You gathered evidence. You stood up not just for yourself, but for others. That's strength, baby. Naomi leaned against her mother's shoulder. So what happens now? Now we make sure justice is served, and we work on healing. The school will need to rebuild trust. Students will need support. And you, Alicia, hug her daughter. You get to just be a teenager again, with my FBI agent mom. With your mom who happens to be an FBI agent. The job doesn't define me. Being your mother does. As dawn broke, they finally left the school. The parking lot was still full of federal vehicles and news vans. Naomi saw some of her classmates with their parents, everyone trying to process what had happened. Marcus, one of the kids who'd submitted a story about being bullied, gave Naomi a nod of respect. Other students looked at her differently now, not as the new girl to be targeted, but as someone who'd helped expose the truth. "You're going to be famous at school," Ethan said, joining them. "I don't want to be famous. I just wanted it to stop. It will now. With the principal gone and Ashley facing charges, things will change." Madison approached with her mother. "Naomi, I'm sorry. For everything. I should have stood up to her sooner." "You stood up when it mattered," Naomi said. "That's what counts." As they drove home, Alicia reached over and squeezed Naomi's hand. "I'm proud of you," she said. "But next time I tell you to stay put, I'll probably still not listen if someone needs help." Alicia laughed, surprising them both. "You really are your mother's daughter. Is that a good thing?" "The best thing." The sun was fully up now, warming the interior of the car. They drove in comfortable silence for a while before Naomi spoke again. "No more secrets? No more secrets. Well, classified stuff aside, I can live with that." As they pulled into their driveway, Naomi saw their neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watching from her window. By noon, everyone would know about the FBI agent living in their quiet suburb. Their cover life was over. "We'll probably have to move again," Alicia said, reading her daughter's thoughts. "Actually," Naomi said, "I think I'd like to stay. For once, I want to see something through. Help fix what's broken instead of running from it." Alicia studied her daughter, seeing not the scared girl from a few months ago, but a young woman who'd found her voice. "Then we stay," she said simply. They walked into their house together, ready to face whatever came next. The masks were off, the truth revealed, and somehow, that made them both stronger. The Friday morning after the FBI raid started like any other, except for the news vans still parked outside Jefferson High and the handful of protesters holding signs that read, "Protect our kids," and where was the oversight? Naomi walked through the front doors to find the hallways buzzing with whispers. Everyone knew what had happened, but the rumors had twisted the truth into a dozen different versions. Some said Naomi was an undercover cop herself. Others claimed she'd been working with the FBI all along. A few even suggested she'd planted evidence to frame Ashley. "Ignore them," Ethan said, falling in a step beside her. "They'll believe whatever makes them feel better about not doing anything themselves." At her locker, the same one that had been vandalized weeks ago, Naomi found something that made her blood run cold. A designer bracelet she'd never seen before was sitting on top of her books. She recognized it immediately from the morning announcements 2 days ago. It belonged to Stephanie Powell, a sophomore who'd reported it stolen from a gym. "Don't touch it," Ethan warned, pulling out his phone to take pictures. But it was too late. Mrs. Henderson, the vice principal who'd taken over for Principal Howard, was already approaching with 2 security guards. "Miss Carter, we need to search your locker. Someone planted that bracelet," Naomi said immediately. "I just found it. Save it for the office." The search was thorough and humiliating. Other students gathered to watch as everything was pulled from Naomi's locker. Then at the very back, wrapped in tissue paper, they found 3 more pieces of jewelry, all reported stolen over the past week. "This is a setup," Naomi protested. "Ashley must have." "Ashley Whitman is in juvenile detention," Mrs. Henderson said coldly. "She couldn't have done this." Then one of her friends, "Miss Carter, given recent events and your family's involvement in the situation, we have to take this very seriously. You're suspended pending investigation." "That's ridiculous." Ethan stepped forward. "Everyone knows Naomi's being framed. Mr. Chun, unless you want to join her, I suggest you get to class." Naomi felt numb as she was escorted to the office. Parents were called. Within an hour, Alicia arrived, her FBI badge visible on her belt, her expression deadly calm. "My daughter is being accused of theft?" she asked Mrs. Henderson. "The evidence was in her locker. Evidence that anyone could have planted. Do you have cameras showing who accessed her locker?" "The cameras in that hallway have been malfunctioning since yesterday." "How convenient." Alicia's voice could have frozen fire. And you're suspending her based on this? We have a zero-tolerance policy. You have a zero-intelligence policy. My daughter just helped expose a criminal syndicate operating in your school, and now she's being targeted in retaliation. Either you reverse this suspension immediately, or I'll have a federal investigation into this school's systematic failure to protect students opened by Monday morning. Mrs. Henderson's face went red. Are you threatening me? I'm promising you. My daughter has been harassed, assaulted, and now framed, all under this administration's watch. The previous principal is facing federal charges. Do you really want to continue his legacy of failure? Mrs. Carter, parents like you always think their children can do no wrong. And administrators like you always protect the wrong people. Alicia stood, pulling Naomi with her. We're leaving, and when we come back on Monday, this suspension better be lifted, or you'll be explaining to federal investigators why you're retaliating against a witness in an ongoing federal case. Outside, Naomi was shaking. Mom, what if they don't lift it? What if this goes on my record? It won't. Alicia's phone was already out. Thompson, we have a problem. Someone's retaliating against Naomi. Yes, planted evidence. I need you to pull the external security footage from the businesses near the school. They drove home in tense silence. Naomi could feel her mother's rage radiating off her in waves. I should have pulled you out, Alicia muttered. Should have known they'd try something. It's not your fault. It's my job to protect you. You can't protect me from everything, Mom. And I don't want you to. I want to fight this. That evening, Naomi sat in her room, scrolling through social media. The opinions were split. Some students supported her, sharing stories of their own experiences with planted evidence and false accusations. Others, mostly Ashley's remaining friends, were spreading rumors that Naomi was the real criminal. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You think you won? This is just the beginning. Ashley has friends you haven't even met yet. She showed it to her mother, who immediately called it in. They're getting desperate, Alicia said. That's when they make mistakes. Saturday morning brought an unexpected visitor. Trevor Garrison stood on their doorstep, his mother beside him. He looked smaller somehow, deflated without his Letterman jacket and usual swagger. We need to talk, his mother said. They sat in the living room, tension thick in the air. Trevor couldn't meet Naomi's eyes. Tell them, his mother prompted. I know who planted the jewelry, Trevor said quietly. It was Blake Morrison and Jessica Tang. Ashley's been texting them from juvie through her lawyer's phone. They're planning more stuff. Worse stuff. Why are you telling us? Naomi asked. Trevor finally looked up, and she saw tears in his eyes. Because I'm done being a coward. I'm done hurting people because I'm scared. You stood up for me when I didn't deserve it. You told them I was being threatened when you could have just let me burn. I owe you the truth. What else are they planning? Alicia asked, her FBI instincts kicking in. There's going to be something at the memorial service tomorrow. For Mr. Walters. Naomi's heart sank. Mr. Walters was a beloved teacher who'd passed away from cancer earlier in the week. The whole school was planning to attend his memorial. They're going to do something to humiliate Naomi in front of everyone. Make it look like she's disrespecting his memory. Jessica's got video editing skills. She's been making a fake video of Naomi saying terrible things about Mr. Walters. We need to stop this, Alicia said, already reaching for her phone. I have screenshots, Trevor said, pulling out his phone. Everything Ashley sent. Every plan. I've been documenting it all since my arrest. My lawyer said it would help my case, but I think you need it more. He handed over his phone, and Alicia scrolled through the messages. Her expression grew darker with each one. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, cyberbullying, and witness intimidation, she said. Trevor, are you willing to testify to this? Yes. It's the least I can do. His mother spoke up. We know Trevor did terrible things. He's in counseling now, and he'll be doing community service for the next year. But he wants to make amends. Real amends, not just empty apologies. I'm sorry, Trevor said to Naomi. For everything. The locker, the journal, the tripping, all of it. I was a coward and a bully, and I hurt you because I was hurting. That's not an excuse, just the truth. Naomi studied him for a long moment. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I appreciate you coming forward now. He nodded, accepting her words without argument. After they left, Alicia made several calls. By evening, she had a plan. We're going to that memorial, she said, and we're going to be ready for whatever they try. Sunday arrived gray and drizzly, fitting weather for a memorial. The service was held in the school auditorium, packed with students, parents, and teachers. Naomi sat with her mother and Ethan, trying to ignore the stares and whispers. "Did you see what's trending?" Someone whispered behind them. "That video of her trash-talking to Mr. Walters?" Naomi's phone buzzed with notifications. The fake video had been posted an hour ago and was already spreading through group chats. In it, a convincing deepfake of Naomi's face was superimposed on someone else's body, saying horrible things about Mr. Walters being a worthless teacher who deserved what he got. "Don't look at it," Alicia murmured. "We knew this was coming." The service began, and several people gave touching speeches about Mr. Walters' impact on their lives. Then Mrs. Henderson stood. "Before we continue, I've been made aware of a disturbing video concerning one of our students. Given the circumstances, that video is fake." Everyone turned. Madison was standing, her phone in her hand. "I have proof," she continued, her voice shaking but determined. "Jessica Tang sent me the original footage before she edited it. She wanted me to help spread it, but I recorded our whole conversation instead." She walked to the front, connecting her phone to the projection system before anyone could stop her. The conversation played for everyone to hear. Jessica's voice. "The deepfake app is amazing. No one will be able to tell it's not really her." Madison's voice. "But this is wrong. Mr. Walters just died." Jessica. "That's what makes it perfect. Everyone's emotional. They'll believe anything." Ashley says if we destroy Naomi's reputation completely, no one will believe her testimony. The auditorium erupted. Parents were shouting, students were arguing, and Mrs. Henderson looked like she wanted to disappear. "There's more," Madison said. She pulled up a group chat. "This is Ashley's inner circle. She's been directing everything from juvenile detention. The planted jewelry, the fake video, even planning to vandalize Naomi's house tonight." FBI agents, who had been stationed discreetly around the auditorium, moved in. Jessica Tang and Blake Morrison were escorted out as their parents protested. "This is what happens when bullying is ignored," Alicia said, standing up. Her voice carried across the auditorium. "It escalates. It becomes criminal. And innocent people get hurt while administrators look the other way." "Mrs. Carter, this isn't the time," Mrs. Henderson started. "When is the time?" "When another child is driven to desperation. When someone gets seriously hurt. My daughter has been systematically targeted, and this school's response has been to punish her for being a victim." A parent in the crowd stood up. "She's right. My son was bullied for 2 years, and nothing was done." Another stood. "My daughter was afraid to come to school. The administration told her to toughen up." More parents and students began sharing stories. The memorial service had transformed into something else, a reckoning. Mr. Garcia, the school counselor who'd been one of the few to take complaints seriously, stepped forward. "Enough," he said. Mr. Walters wouldn't want his memorial to become a battlefield, but he also stood for justice and protecting students. So let's honor him by finally addressing these issues properly. He looked at Mrs. Henderson. "I move for an emergency school board meeting. Tonight, the community deserves answers and action." The crowd voiced their agreement, and Mrs. Henderson had no choice but to agree. That evening, the school board meeting was standing room only. Naomi sat in the front row, flanked by her mother and Ethan. Trevor was there too, sitting with his mother, his head down but present. The board president, Dr. Williams, called for order. "We're here to address serious concerns about bullying, administrative negligence, and criminal activity at Jefferson High." One by one, students and parents testified. Ethan presented his documentation, months of recorded incidents, videos, screenshots. Naomi spoke about her experiences, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I'm not just speaking for myself," she said. "I'm speaking for every kid who's been told to ignore it, to toughen up, to not make waves. Bullying isn't just kids being kids. It's assault. It's harassment. It's terrorism in the hallways. And when it's ignored, it grows into something worse. Trevor stood up unexpectedly. She's right. I was a bully. I terrorized people because I could, because no one stopped me, because I was scared of becoming a victim myself if I didn't stay on top. The system failed everyone, the victims and the bullies. We need counseling, consequences, and change. Madison's mother spoke next. My daughter was part of the problem, and I didn't see it. I thought she was just falling in with the wrong crowd. But she was the wrong crowd. We need parent education, too, to recognize the signs. The school resource officer, Officer Martinez, presented statistics. Since the FBI raid, we've had 17 students come forward with reports of criminal behavior they were too scared to report before. Theft, assault, drug distribution, all connected to the culture of fear Ashley Whitman and her crew created. Dr. Williams looked grave. Mrs. Henderson, what's your response? Mrs. Henderson stood, her face flushed. I've only been in this position for 5 days. I inherited a broken system and made it worse by suspending a victim based on obviously planted evidence. Alicia interjected. I was following protocol. Blindly following protocol without applying common sense or compassion is exactly how we got here, Dr. Williams said. Mrs. Henderson, effective immediately, you're being placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. The crowd erupted in applause. Dr. Williams continued. Mr. Garcia, would you serve as interim principal? Mr. Garcia nodded. On one condition. We implement a comprehensive anti-bullying program immediately. Not just posters and assemblies, but real change. Restorative justice circles, mandatory reporting, counseling support, and actual consequences. Agreed, Dr. Williams said. Additionally, I'm proposing we create a student safety committee with equal representation from students, parents, teachers, and administrators. No more decisions made in isolation. I'd like to be on that committee, Naomi said, standing. Me too, Ethan added. And me, Madison said quietly. Even Trevor raised his hand. I want to help fix what I helped break. As the meeting continued, plans were made. Real, concrete plans for change. The FBI would provide training on recognizing criminal behavior. Mental health professionals would be brought in. An anonymous reporting system would be implemented immediately. After the meeting, Naomi stood outside with her mother, breathing in the cool night air. You did it, Alicia said proudly. We did it. All of us. A notification popped up on Naomi's phone. A message from Ashley, somehow sent from juvenile detention. You think you've won, but I'll be out eventually. And when I am, Naomi showed it to her mother, who immediately forwarded it to the prosecutor. She just violated her no-contact order, Alicia said. That's going to add time to her sentence and strengthen the case against her. She really doesn't learn, does she? Some people never do. But that's not your problem anymore. As they drove home, Naomi saw several of her classmates at a coffee shop, including some who'd never talked to her before. They waved, and one held up a sign that read, "Thank you, Naomi." Things are really going to change, aren't they? Naomi asked. Change has already started, Alicia replied. You stood up when it mattered. Others found courage in yours. That's how change happens, one brave voice becoming many. Mom, yeah. Your job, being FBI, is it always this personal? Alicia thought for a moment. No, but sometimes the personal cases are the ones that matter most. They remind us why we do this job. To protect people, especially those who can't protect themselves. I want to help people too. Maybe not FBI, but something where I can make a difference. You already are making a difference. As they pulled into their driveway, Naomi noticed something different. Their neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, was on her porch. She gave him a small wave and a nod of respect. Word had spread through the neighborhood. The FBI agent and her brave daughter who'd stood up to corruption and cruelty. For the first time since they'd moved here, Naomi felt like she might actually belong. Inside, while Alicia made tea, Naomi opened her laptop. She had started a blog post. To anyone being bullied, who feels alone and powerless, you're not alone. Your voice matters. And sometimes, standing up doesn't just change your own story. It changes everything. She posted it, watched the views start climbing immediately, and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, she'd won something important. Not just justice, but hope. The following week at Jefferson High felt different. FBI agents in plain clothes walked the halls during passing periods. Mr. Garcia had installed suggestion boxes outside every classroom. The old zero-tolerance posters were replaced with see something, say something signs that included a QR code for anonymous reporting. In the FBI field office, Alicia stood before a whiteboard covered with photos, schedules, and stadium blueprints. Operation Chalkboard was in full swing. Homecoming is this Friday, she told her team. Intel suggests the remaining syndicate members will use the game as cover for one last major exchange before fleeing. They think we've relaxed surveillance since the main players were arrested. Thompson pointed to the stadium map. The equipment sheds here and here have blind spots. The vendor tunnel runs underneath, connecting to the parking lot. And there's a new problem, Agent Rodriguez added. We intercepted communications mentioning a student courier. Someone still inside the school. Alicia's blood chilled. Boo, unknown. But they mentioned the courier is connected to someone we already arrested. That afternoon, Naomi sat in the new Student Safety Committee meeting. Ethan had set up encrypted communication channel for the group, and they were reviewing incident reports from the anonymous system. 17 reports this week, Mr. Garcia said. Most are minor, but 3 mentioned seeing older teens who don't attend school hanging around the stadium. That's where the homecoming game is, Madison said, then froze. Oh God, Ashley's cousin goes to state. She mentioned once that he helps her dad with deliveries. Naomi immediately texted her mother. Ashley has a cousin at state. Madison says he does deliveries. The response came quickly. Don't engage. Stay away from stadium except during game. Trust me. Trevor shifted uncomfortably in his seat. There's something else. My cousin, the one who got me involved, he's out on bail. He texted me yesterday, asking if I still had my equipment manager keys. You told the FBI, right? Ethan asked. Immediately. They told me to say I lost them, but Trevor pulled out his phone, showing a new message. He says he knows I'm lying. Says if I don't help, my little sister's going to have an accident at her middle school. Mr. Garcia immediately stood. We're calling Agent Carter. Now, within an hour, the school was quietly buzzing with increased security. Alicia had Trevor in a secure room, fitting him with a wire. You're going to meet him, she said. Tell him you'll help, but you need details. We need to know who the inside courier is. I'm scared, Trevor admitted. Fear keeps you sharp, but we'll be watching every second. The moment things go sideways, we extract you. Naomi found Trevor before he left. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. It's the only way to really make things right. He attempted a weak smile. Besides, you stood up to Ashley when you were alone. How about the FBI backing me? That evening, Trevor met his cousin Marcus at a diner 2 blocks from school. Naomi, Ethan, and Madison watched from Ethan's laptop, which was tapped into the FBI surveillance feed thanks to Alicia's authorization. You look nervous, cuz, Marcus said, sliding into the booth. Just don't want trouble. No trouble if you play along. We need someone to stash a bag in the equipment shed during the game. You still got those keys. I told you I lost them. Marcus leaned forward. Funny thing, your girl Madison's been talking. Says you're working with the feds now. Trevor's hands visibly shook. Madison doesn't know anything. She knows enough. Her cousin Brittany still needs the family business. She's going to grab the bag from Ashley's old locker. Combination hasn't been changed, and pass it to you during halftime. Brittany Reeves, Trevor said, making sure to speak clearly for the wire. Smart kid. Full scholarship to state if she plays along. Her mom's medical bills aren't paying themselves. In the surveillance van, Alicia cursed. Brittany Reeves, honor student, volleyball captain. They're blackmailing her through her mother's debt. Back in the diner, Marcus continued, you put the bag in equipment shed B. Someone picks it up during the 4th quarter when everyone's watching the game. Easy. What's in the bag? Marcus's expression darkened. You don't need to know. Just do it, or your sister starts having real bad luck. After Marcus left, Trevor sat shaking until FBI agents collected him. You did good, Alicia told him later. We've got everything we need. Thursday night, Alicia walked the team through the plan one more time. The stadium map was marked with agent positions. Naomi and Ethan had been equipped with panic buttons disguised as keychains. Brittany doesn't know we're aware, Thompson said. We'll swap the real bag with our tracker bag when she retrieves it from Ashley's locker. What about protecting the students? Mr. Garcia asked. He'd been brought into the operation as a civilian consultant. We've got undercovers throughout the crowd. The moment the handoff happens, we move. Quick and quiet, away from the stands. I want to help, Naomi said. Absolutely not. Alicia responded immediately. Mom, I'll be at the game anyway. Everyone will be. At least let me be useful. You observe and report. Nothing more. You see anything suspicious, you text me. You don't approach anyone. Friday arrived with clear skies and excitement. The whole school buzzed about homecoming, unaware of the operation about to unfold. Naomi dressed in school colors, the panic button keychain clipped to her jeans. Remember, Ethan said as they walked to the stadium, we're just watching the game. Nothing else. Bye. Just watching. Madison joined them, nervous but determined. Brittany's been avoiding me all week. We used to be close before Ashley pulled her in. The stadium filled quickly. The band played, cheerleaders performed, and everything seemed normal. But Naomi could spot the undercover agents, a vendor who kept checking his watch, a parent who was more interested in scanning the crowd than watching the field. Trevor sat with the equipment managers, trying to look casual. His hands kept fidgeting with his whistle. Halftime arrived with Jefferson High up by 7. As the band took the field, Naomi watched Brittany leave the stands, heading toward the school building. She's moving, Naomi texted her mom. We see her. Stay put. But then Naomi noticed something the agents couldn't see from their positions. A man in a maintenance uniform was following Brittany, staying just far enough back to avoid suspicion. Someone's following Brittany. Maintenance uniform, but he's wearing dress shoes, she texted quickly. Do not engage. We're checking. Brittany disappeared into the school. The maintenance man stopped at the door, pulling out a phone. He was watching for someone. Then Madison gasped. That's Ashley's cousin from state. I've seen him at parties. Before Naomi could text this information, things went wrong. Brittany came running out of the school, empty-handed and crying. She ran straight into the maintenance man, who grabbed her arm roughly. Where's the bag? They could see him demanding. It wasn't there. Someone already took it. The maintenance man, Ashley's cousin Derek, started dragging Brittany toward the parking lot. Without thinking, Naomi stood up. Don't. Ethan grabbed her arm. Your mom said, he's hurting her. Naomi pulled free and started moving through the crowd, keeping Derek in sight. She hit her panic button 3 times, the signal for emergency intervention. In the surveillance van, alarms went off. Naomi's activated her panic, Rodriguez announced. Alicia was already moving. All units converge. Suspect is deviating from plan. Derek had pulled Brittany behind a concession stand, out of view of most spectators. But Naomi followed, recording with her phone. You set us up, Derek was saying. You're working with them. I didn't. I swear. The locker was already empty. Then you're useless. He pulled something from his pocket. A knife. Hey, Naomi shouted before she could stop herself. Derek spun around, still holding Brittany. Walk away, kid. Let her go. The FBI already knows everything. Derek's eyes widened, then narrowed. You're the Carter girl. This is your fault. He shoved Brittany away and advanced on Naomi. But before he could reach her, Trevor appeared, tackling Derek from the side. They went down hard, the knife skittering across the concrete. Run, Trevor shouted, wrestling with Derek. But they didn't need to. FBI agents swarmed the area, weapons drawn. FBI. Nobody move. Derek immediately released Trevor. Hands up. I want a lawyer. Alicia arrived, her face a mask of controlled fury. She looked at Naomi, clearly fighting between relief and anger. We'll talk later, she said tightly, then turned to coordinate the arrests. The crowd at the stadium had noticed the commotion. People were standing, phones out, recording. Principal Garcia's voice came over the PA system. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We have a medical situation in the concession area. Please stay in your seats. But it was too late. Word was already spreading through social media. FBI at homecoming game. Armed agents arresting someone. Is this about the syndicate? In the equipment shed, agents found not one, but 3 bags of what appeared to be drugs and cash. The vendor tunnel revealed 2 more syndicate members waiting for a handoff that would never come. As suspects were led away in handcuffs, Naomi found Brittany sitting on a bench, shaking. "I'm sorry," Brittany whispered. "They said they'd hurt my mom if I didn't help. She owes so much money for her cancer treatment." "It's not your fault," Madison said, sitting beside her cousin. Ashley's family preyed on desperate people. Mr. Garcia approached with several school board members. "We need to evacuate the stadium calmly. Can you help?" Naomi nodded, understanding. They needed student leaders to prevent panic. She climbed onto a bench, using Ethan's portable speaker. "Hey, everyone, I know things look crazy, but we're all safe. The FBI just stopped some bad people from hurting our school. Let's show them Jefferson High doesn't panic. File out calmly, section by section." Surprisingly, it worked. Students began organizing themselves, helping younger kids, and keeping things orderly. The evacuation was smooth, even as news vans arrived. Later, in the FBI field office, Naomi sat with her mother as they gave statements. Trevor was there too, ice on his bruised cheek from the fight. "You saved my life," Naomi told him. "We're even then," he said with a small smile. Thompson entered with updates. Derek Whitman is looking at attempted assault with a deadly weapon, drug possession with intent to distribute, and conspiracy. He's trying to flip on bigger players for a deal. "What about Brittany?" Madison asked. "She was coerced. With her cooperation and the evidence of blackmail, she'll likely get community service and counseling." Alicia finally turned to Naomi. "What you did was incredibly dangerous and directly disobeyed my orders. I know. You could have been killed. I know." And Alicia's voice softened. "You saved Brittany's life. Derek had a history of violence. If you hadn't intervened when you did, I couldn't just watch. I know. That's what makes you brave and terrifies me as your mother." Outside, reporters had gathered. Dr. Williams, the school board president, was giving a statement. "Tonight's events, while frightening, show that our partnership with law enforcement is working. The criminal element that infiltrated our school has been removed. Our students showed incredible courage and maturity." A reporter shouted, "What about Ashley Whitman?" Miss Whitman is facing additional charges for conspiracy from juvenile detention. Her attempts to continue orchestrating crimes from confinement have only strengthened the case against her. Another reporter, "Is it true a student helped stop the attack?" Dr. Williams smiled slightly. "Several students showed remarkable bravery tonight, but we won't be naming minors." Back home, Naomi's phone was buzzing nonstop. Messages of support, thanks, and amazement flooded in from classmates. Her blog post from earlier had gone viral, shared thousands of times. One message stood out from a number she didn't recognize. "You don't know me, but I go to Riverside High. We have our own Ashley. Your story gives me hope that things can change. Thank you." She showed it to her mother. "This is why we do it," Alicia said. "Not just to stop the bad guys, but to show others they can stand up too." "Mom, yeah. Are we safe now? Really safe?" Alicia pulled her close. "Ashley's network is dismantled. Her father's in federal prison. Her cousin's going away. The corrupt officials are being prosecuted. Yes, baby, we're safe. But there'll always be other bullies." "True, but now the school has systems in place. Students know they'll be heard. And most importantly, kids like you showed everyone that standing up is possible." Naomi's phone rang. It was Ethan. "Turn on Channel 6, he said excitedly. The news showed footage from the stadium. Naomi, standing on the bench, calmly directing the evacuation while FBI agents worked behind her. "An unnamed student helped prevent panic at Jefferson High tonight," the anchor said. "In a situation that could have resulted in chaos, young leaders stepped up." "You're famous," Ethan laughed. "We all are." Trevor tackled a guy with a knife. Madison exposed the truth. "Brittany risked everything to come forward. You documented everything. We did this together." Saturday morning, the school held an emergency assembly. The auditorium was packed with students, parents, and media. The reporters were restricted to a designated area. Mr. Garcia spoke first. Last night was scary, but it also showed the strength of our community. When tested, our students didn't panic. They protected each other. He brought up several students, including Naomi, Trevor, Madison, Ethan, and Brittany. These young people represent the best of Jefferson High. Some made mistakes, but found courage to make amends. Others stood up from day one. All of them helped save lives. The crowd erupted in applause. Trevor looked uncomfortable with the praise, but Naomi nudged him. "You've earned it," she whispered. Dr. Williams took the microphone. "Moving forward, we're implementing permanent changes. Monthly safety summits with student input. Mandatory anti-bullying training for all staff. A full-time liaison with local law enforcement. And a scholarship fund for students who show moral courage, funded by fines from those convicted in this case." Ashley's former friends sat in a cluster, looking lost without their leader. Some seemed relieved, others ashamed. Jessica Tang was noticeably absent, under house arrest pending trial. After the assembly, Naomi found herself surrounded by younger students. "Were you scared?" a freshman asked. Terrified, Naomi admitted. "But being scared doesn't mean you can't act. What if the bullies come back? Then we stand together. That's what they fear most, us united." As the crowd dispersed, Naomi noticed something beautiful. Students who'd never talked before were introducing themselves. Groups that had been segregated by invisible social lines were mixing. The culture was shifting. Mr. Garcia approached Naomi and her mother. "The FBI wants to create a youth outreach program, teaching students to recognize and report criminal recruitment. Would you be interested in helping develop it?" "Absolutely," Naomi said immediately. That evening, as news coverage continued, Naomi sat with her mother watching the reports. A criminologist was analyzing the case. "What we see here is how bullying, when unchecked, can escalate into criminal behavior. The Whitman syndicate specifically targeted vulnerable youth, using existing bullying networks to recruit. This case will be studied for years." "You did that," Alicia said proudly. "You and your friends exposed something that might have continued for years." "We just wanted to survive high school," Naomi said. "We ended up doing more." Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Her heart sank, expecting another threat. But it was from Ashley, somehow sent through her lawyer. "I heard what happened. Derek's an idiot. You won this round. But I wanted to know something. You were right. I don't know who I am without the power. Maybe prison will help me figure it out. Or maybe it'll just make me worse. Guess we'll see." Naomi showed her mother. "That's unexpected," Alicia said. "She's broken," Naomi replied. "Maybe she'll heal. Maybe she won't. But that's not my responsibility anymore." As they prepared for bed, Naomi looked out her window. The street was quiet, normal. No news vans, no federal agents. For the first time in months, everything felt genuinely peaceful. "Mom, yeah, I think I want to study criminal justice. Or maybe social work. Something where I can help kids before they become either victims or criminals." Alicia smiled. "You'd be amazing at either. Will you teach me? About investigating, about reading people, about staying safe while helping others." "Everything I know," Alicia promised. As Naomi fell asleep, she thought about how different her life had become. She'd started as the new girl, targeted and alone. Now she was part of something bigger, a community that had faced its demons and chosen change. The war against bullying at Jefferson High wasn't over, but the first major battle had been won, and everyone knew it. Change was no longer a hope, it was happening. The federal courthouse buzzed with activity 6 weeks after the homecoming arrests. Naomi sat in the witness waiting room, her mother beside her, reviewing her testimony one more time. Through the window, she could see news vans lined up like soldiers. "Remember," the prosecutor, Ms. Chun, said, "just tell the truth. Don't elaborate unless asked. The defense will try to make you emotional." "I understand." The door opened, and Trevor entered with his mother. He'd already testified yesterday about his recruitment and coercion. His appearance had changed. The swagger was gone, replaced by something quieter, more genuine. "How did it go?" Naomi asked. "Hard," he admitted. "Ashley's lawyer tried to paint me as the real criminal and her as just a confused kid following her father's influence. But the jury saw through it? I hope so. I told them everything. The threats, the fear, how she orchestrated it all even when her dad wasn't involved. Madison arrived next, clutching a folder of printed messages. About everything organized chronologically. Every threat, every plan, every cruel joke. When Naomi's name was called, she walked into the courtroom with her head high. Ashley sat at the defense table in a conservative dress, her hair pulled back, looking younger than her years, clearly a calculated choice by her legal team. The prosecutor's questions were straightforward. Naomi described the bullying, the escalation, the criminal activities she'd witnessed. She kept her voice steady, factual. Then Ashley's lawyer, Mr. Brennan, stood for cross-examination. Miss Carter, isn't it true you were jealous of my client's popularity? No, I didn't know her before she started targeting me. But you wanted to fit in at your new school. I wanted to be left alone to get an education. Yet you inserted yourself into my client's social circle, documented her private conversations, and ultimately orchestrated her arrest. Naomi took a breath. I documented crimes being committed against me and others. I reported them to authorities when the school failed to protect us. And I didn't orchestrate anything. Your client did that herself when she chose to run a criminal enterprise from juvenile detention. The lawyer shifted tactics. Your mother is FBI. Didn't she coach you on what to say? My mother tried to keep me away from all of this. I didn't even know she was FBI until the night of the arrests. How convenient. What's convenient, Naomi said, finding her strength, is how your client had the principal in her father's pocket, how she had kids too terrified to speak up, how she thought money and connections made her untouchable. What's not convenient is living in fear every day, wondering if today would be the day she pushed someone too far, maybe to suicide. So no, Mr. Brennan, nothing about this has been convenient. The courtroom was silent. Even Ashley looked away. After testimony concluded for the day, media swarmed the courthouse steps. Naomi and Alicia slipped out the back, but still caught fragments of the coverage on the radio during the drive home. In a powerful day of testimony, multiple students describe a reign of terror at Jefferson High. The reporter said, that evening, the support group met at the community center. It had started small, just a few students getting together to talk, but had grown to over 30 regular attendees from various schools. The hardest part, a girl from Washington High said, is that people think it should be over now. Like the bad guys got caught, so why are you still anxious? Trauma doesn't end with arrests, the counselor, Dr. Martinez, said gently. Healing is a process. Brittany spoke up for the first time in weeks. I still have nightmares about that night, about what could have happened if Naomi hadn't followed us. You were brave to come forward, Naomi told her. I was a coward who only spoke up when I had no choice. You spoke up, Madison said firmly. That's what matters. 2 days later, the verdict came in. Naomi sat in the gallery as the jury foreman stood. On the count of conspiracy to commit fraud, guilty. On the count of cyberbullying, guilty. On the count of witness intimidation, guilty. On the count of conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, guilty. Ashley didn't react, sitting stone-faced as her mother sobbed behind her. The judge scheduled sentencing for the following month. Outside the courthouse, Richard Whitman was being led to a transport van, already serving 20 years for his crimes. He looked older, grayer, diminished. Ashley watched from a window as her father was driven away. The adult co-conspirators received sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years. Principal Howard got 7 years for corruption and child endangerment. The message was clear. Protecting children was no longer negotiable. Back at Jefferson High, changes were immediately visible. The new anti-bullying protocols were posted everywhere. Teachers underwent mandatory training sessions. Student mediators, trained in restorative justice, wore visible badges. The first restorative justice circle was held in what used to be the detention room, now renamed the resolution room. Madison sat across from freshmen she'd helped torment months ago. I'm sorry, Madison said, her voice breaking. I knew it was wrong, but I was too scared of becoming a target myself. I dropped out of band because of what you said about my playing, the freshman replied. I know. I heard you were really good. I, I was jealous. Music comes so easily to you. Would you, would you come to my recital? If I start playing again? Madison nodded, tears flowing. I'd be honored. Trevor's sessions were harder. Some students couldn't forgive him, and he accepted that. I don't expect forgiveness. He told one boy he'd bullied for 2 years. I just want you to know that I take full responsibility. It wasn't about you. It was about my own fear and weakness. I still flinch when I hear footsteps behind me, the boy said quietly. I am sorry. I'm so sorry. They didn't hug or shake hands, but the boy nodded before leaving. It was a start. The school district implemented the changes across all schools. Mr. Garcia, now permanent principal, spoke at a national education conference about their transformation. We learned that zero tolerance without understanding creates more problems, he said. We need consequences, yes, but also comprehension and compassion. 3 months after the trial, spring arrived at Jefferson High with unusual warmth. The campus looked different. Murals created by students covered previously vandalized walls, depicting themes of unity and respect. A memorial garden had been planted for Mr. Walters, with a bench inscribed, "Courage is standing up for others and yourself." Naomi sat on that bench, reviewing college brochures. Several schools had reached out after her story made national news, offering scholarships for her demonstrated leadership in crisis. Columbia has a great criminal justice program, Ethan said, joining her. He'd been accepted early admission to MIT for computer science with a focus on cybersecurity. I'm also looking at Howard. They have an amazing social work track that combines with juvenile justice reform. You'll be great wherever you go. Trevor approached hesitantly. He'd been doing community service at the elementary school, teaching kids about bullying prevention. Can I sit? They made room for him. I got an estate, he said quietly. Academic probation for the first year, but they're giving me a chance. That's great, Naomi said, meaning it. I wanted to thank you, both of you, for seeing something worth saving in me when I couldn't see it myself. Everyone deserves a second chance, Ethan said. You've earned yours. Madison ran up, waving her phone. Ashley's sentencing is starting. They gathered in the library where Mr. Garcia had set up a stream for students who wanted to watch. Ashley stood before the judge in an orange jumpsuit, her parents behind her. The judge spoke solemnly. Miss Whitman, you had every advantage, wealth, intelligence, opportunity. Yet you chose to use those gifts to terrorize others and profit from criminal enterprise. However, the court recognizes your age and the influence of your family environment. Ashley remained stone-faced. You were sentenced to juvenile detention until age 18, followed by 5 years probation. You will complete 2,000 hours of community service focused on bullying prevention. You are banned from social media for 10 years, and you will participate in intensive therapy. Your Honor, Ashley spoke for the first time, her voice smaller than anyone had ever heard it. I want to add something. The judge nodded. Ashley turned to the gallery camera. To everyone I hurt, I was wrong. Not because I got caught, but because I became someone who enjoyed causing pain. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know that I finally understand the damage I caused. Naomi Carter, you were right about me. I was pathetic. Maybe someday I won't be. The stream ended. The library was silent. Do you think she meant it? Madison asked. Maybe, Naomi said. Or maybe she's just saying what she thinks will help. Either way, she's facing consequences. That's what matters. The next week, Jefferson High hosted its first community summit. Parents, students, teachers, and law enforcement gathered to discuss ongoing safety measures. Alicia spoke on a panel about recognizing criminal recruitment. Predators look for vulnerable kids, those isolated, financially struggling, or seeking belonging. We must create environments where every child feels valued and protected. A mother stood during Q&A. My daughter was one of Ashley's victims. She attempted suicide last year. How do we heal from something like that? Dr. Martinez responded gently. Healing isn't linear. Some days will be harder than others. But with support, therapy, and time, survivors can reclaim their lives. The mother's daughter stood up. I'm still here, still fighting. Seeing Ashley face justice helped. But what helped more was seeing other kids stand up. It made me feel less alone. Spontaneous applause filled the auditorium. Later, Naomi found herself appointed to the district's new youth advisory board, helping shape policies for all schools. Their first initiative, peer support networks in every school. "We're calling it Project Bridge," Naomi explained to the board. "Connecting isolated students with trained peer supporters. Not to replace professional help, but to ensure no one faces their struggles alone." The vote was unanimous in favor. Spring Formal arrived with unusual significance. It was the first major social event since the arrests. Naomi wore a dress her grandmother had sent, proud of her natural hair styled in an elegant updo. "You look beautiful," Alicia said, taking pictures. "Mom, it's just a dance. It's your first normal high school experience in months. Let me have this." At the dance, the atmosphere was lighter than it had been all year. Students who'd never interacted before were dancing together, social barriers slowly dissolving. Madison performed a song she'd written about redemption. Trevor served punch as part of his community service, genuinely smiling as he congratulated couples. Even Brittany was there, having found the courage to return to normal activities. "We survived," Ethan said, spinning Naomi during a slow song. "We did more than survive. We changed things. Think it'll last. The systems will help. But ultimately, it's up to each new generation of students to maintain the culture." As the dance ended, Mr. Garcia took the microphone. "6 months ago, our school was broken. Trust was shattered. Fear ruled our hallways. Today, we're not perfect, but we're healing. We're united, and we're committed to ensuring every student feels safe and valued." He called several students to the stage, including Naomi, Ethan, Madison, Trevor, and Brittany. These students represent our journey, from victim to survivor, from bystander to advocate, from bully to reformed. They remind us that change is possible when we choose courage over comfort, truth over silence. The crowd erupted in applause. For the first time, it felt genuine, not forced. 2 weeks before graduation, Naomi received a letter. No return address, but she recognized the handwriting. "Dear Naomi, I'm writing this from a therapeutic facility. Part of my treatment is acknowledging the harm I caused without expecting anything in return. You stood up to me when no one else would. You saw through my power to the scared, angry girl underneath. I hated you for that. But now, I think you might have saved me from becoming something worse. I'm learning who I am without the cruelty. It's terrifying. Some days I fail. But I'm trying. Don't forgive me. I haven't earned that. Just know that your courage started something. Not just the investigation, but maybe my own awakening to who I could be instead of who I was. Ashley." Naomi showed the letter to her mother. "What do you think?" Alicia asked. "I think people can change if they truly want to. Whether she does remains to be seen. You're not responsible for her redemption. I know, but I'm glad she has the chance to try." Graduation day arrived sunny and bright. Naomi gave the salutatory address, speaking about transformation and resilience. "Jefferson High was tested this year," she said to the packed stadium. "We faced darkness within our own walls, but we chose to light candles rather than curse that darkness. We chose to stand together rather than fall apart." She looked at her classmates, some who'd been victims, some who'd been bullies, most who've been bystanders who finally found their voices. As we leave these halls, we take with us more than diplomas. We carry the knowledge that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they refuse to accept injustice. We've learned that courage is contagious, that one voice can become many, that change is possible when we demand it. The crowd rose in a standing ovation. After the ceremony, families gathered for pictures. Naomi stood with her mother, both wearing bright smiles. "I'm proud of you," Alicia said. "Not just for the big moments, but for every day you chose to keep fighting. I learned from the best." As they walked to the car, Naomi turned back to look at Jefferson High one last time as a student. The building that had once been a daily battlefield had become a place of transformation. Her phone buzzed with a message from the freshman she'd mentored through the peer support program. "Thank you for showing me I could be brave." Naomi smiled, typing back, "You always were. You just needed to see it for yourself." On a warm Saturday morning that summer, before everyone scattered to different colleges, the core group met at the park for a farewell picnic. Trevor brought his little sister, who he'd been teaching about kindness and standing up for others. Madison brought her guitar, playing songs about redemption and hope. Ethan set up a video call with international students who'd been following their story and starting similar movements in their own schools. "We started something," Madison said, strumming softly. "No," Naomi corrected, looking around at the group that had become her chosen family. "We finished something that needed to end and started something that needed to begin." As the sun set on their last summer together, they made a pact to return each year to check on Jefferson High's progress and support the next generation of students finding their courage. Walking home with her mother, Naomi felt a sense of completion. The scared girl who'd stood in front of her mirror that first morning, wondering whether to straighten her hair, had become someone who stood straight regardless of the storm. "So," Alicia asked, "any regrets?" Naomi thought about it. The pain, the fear, the moments of despair, they'd all led to this transformation, not just of herself, but of an entire community. "No regrets," she said finally. "Just gratitude that when the moment came, we were brave enough to change everything." As they reached their house, Naomi saw a moving truck at the house 3 doors down. A black family was unloading boxes, their teenage daughter looking nervous as she surveyed the neighborhood. Naomi walked over immediately. "Hi, I'm Naomi. Welcome to the neighborhood. Starting at Jefferson High?" The girl nodded shyly. "You're going to love it," Naomi said with genuine warmth. "It's a place where every student matters. And if anyone gives you trouble, you come find me. We'll look out for each other here." The girl's mother smiled gratefully as Naomi gave them her number and offered to show them around town. Walking back home, Alicia squeezed her daughter's shoulder. "You've become exactly who you were meant to be. Just someone who refuses to let others face alone what I went through. That's called a hero, baby." "No," Naomi said, thinking of all the students who'd stood up, all the adults who'd finally listened, all the systems now in place to protect the vulnerable. "That's called a community that learned to protect its own." The story of Jefferson High's transformation would be studied in education programs and law enforcement training for years to come. But for Naomi Carter, it would always simply be the year she found her voice and used it to help others find theirs. If your child came home in tears tomorrow, would you know the difference between kids being kids and crimes being committed? Like and subscribe for more stories that expose the truth hiding in plain sight.